Okay, so yeah, we're gonna start with ratios, conversions, and rates part two. Today we're talking about the rates aspect. So last time we went over ratios and conversions, and ratios is when we compare two quantities, right? So rates is kind of building on ratios. A rate is kind of a special type of ratio, which compares two quantities, but they have different units. And I think you guys are probably actually more familiar with rates than you think you are. Because like, for example, when your parents are driving, what speed are they going at? It's measured in miles per hour. It's like 20 miles per 1 hour. So that like miles per hour is a rate because the two quantities with different units are miles, which is a unit, which is measuring distance, hours, which measures time. So here are some other examples, like when you go to the grocery store, right, and it says like 3 apples for $6. So you're comparing the quantities apples and dollars, so money, right? Like if you buy something like um, a piece of bread is $1. That's also a rate because it's comparing two quantities of the same unit. Um, Yeah, and then getting paid for, like, when your parents get paid, right? You get paid $200 for 4 hours of work, like, dollars and hours are 2 different, quantities. So, those are rates. So a lot of the rates that we look at deal with, like, time. Like, we can see miles per hour, or when we also look at, like, when people getting paid, they're getting paid for how many hours they work. Um, and then yeah, so then, like, there's also gonna be things like how many pages you can read per hour and all that stuff. So, it's a lot of things are dealing with time, and another big one is dealing with money. Those are the 2 major ones. So just give me 2 seconds. Um, sorry. Ugh, I'm so sorry about that. My screen is not having today. Um, okay, so there's also something called unit rates. So unit rates are basically just rates with a denominator of 1, hence why they're called units, right? So if we have something that's $5, like if we have like 2 pounds of potatoes and it costs $5 for 2 pounds of potatoes, then we can say that the unit rate is $2.5 for 1 pound. And remember that the denominator is going to be pounds. So like our unit rate is just gonna be when the denominator is 1, so 1 pound. And we wanna make the denominator 1 and then kind of just treat it like a fraction, and simplifying. So for example, we did 5 divided by 2 and 2 divided by 2 to get 2.5 per 1 pound. And yeah, just like how we can treat ratios as a fraction, you can kind of treat rates also as a fraction. So yeah, that's kind of like that. Rates, ratios, very similar. Just in this case, remember that units matter, and that's why we did conversions last time as well, because you need to do conversions sometimes for rates. Okay, so here are like a couple of common examples, and then we'll practice them, and then we'll move into the Kahoot. But for some basic examples, like if you have a car drives 120 miles in 3 hours, right? Then we want to represent this as unit ratio, like miles per hour, the common measurement. So how do we do this? That's speed, right? Well, then we divide the top because we want the denominator to be 1. 3 is our denominator because it comes last because it's miles per hour, right? So whatever comes second normally is your denominator. So in this case, we divide the numerator and the denominator by 3, treating it as a fraction, right? Like 120 over 3. So then that means 40 miles per 1 hour. Another example is like density. So if you have like the mass of an object, right? Like 200 grams. G is grams in this case. And then like the volume of it is 50 centimeters cubed, and we want to find the density, right? Using the unit ratio, grams per centimeters cubed. Well, we do this by looking at this like a fraction, right? As you can see, that centimeters cubed comes second, so that's going to be our denominator. Then you'll have 200 grams divided by 50 centimeters cubed. We can divide the numerator and the denominator by 50 since that's what we want. And then you get 4 grams per centimeters cubed. And one thing to note is that like when you have a fraction, right, your numerator has to be an integer and your denominator has to be an integer. But when we're dealing with rates, that's not always the case. Like we said, you could have $250 as like dollars per hour, for example, or dollars per piece of bread. Like 2.5 is not an integer, but you can do that because it's a rate and it's not a fraction. So that's where the that's where the difference is, kind of. So another way to do this is like sometimes you're gonna have to compare stuff, like finding what is cheaper. Like if we have 12 ounce of something for $3.6 versus 16 ounces of something for $4.8, well, you can find out which is cheaper, but you have to simplify it down to the unit ratio, which is why the unit ratio is really important, right? Like when you compare values, you're going to have to use the unit ratio. So when I simplify this, the first one, right, 12 ounces for 3.60, I end up getting 3.33 approximately, or 3 1/3 ounces per dollar. And then if I do the same thing for the 16 ounce and 4.8, then I get also 3.33 or 3 1/3 ounces per dollar. So they're actually the exact same price. So those are some examples of unit ratios. Does anyone have, or unit rates, does anyone have any questions about rates? And if you do, feel free to unmute yourself or just ask the chat. Okay, that's really good that you know ratio and rates. Regarding ratio and rates, I don't think there's that much else that you should know, but I think one thing that we should all practice when it comes to ratio and rates is like converting between like units, right? Or like checking your units. Like for example, I have centimeters cubed here, but I could also use like millimeters or meters or like, kilometers. Like that's something to practice. And also, like with ratios last time, I talked about like when you have like multiple quantities, like maybe 3 different quantities, right? Like I'm comparing hours, like number of trees chopped down and number of people. Like that can get a little bit tricky. And a lot of these for rates, we're just gonna do 2 quantities, right? 2 things. But for ratios, sometimes we use 3 things. So that's another thing that we might want to practice. But that's like the very basics of rates and ratios and conversions. And I think that we should be fine for that. Yeah, those are like the extensions of it. So that's a really good question. Okay. Yeah, if anyone has any other questions, feel free to ask. I think, okay, so then we're gonna say like, what does this kind of look like visually, right? Like I said a lot of stuff and I've given you some numbers, but it might be a little bit confusing. So I think the best thing to do is like look at it on a graph. I think the easiest way to think of a rate is kind of like a slope on a coordinate plane, right? So if I have 2 quantities or 2 things, right, distance and time, I can set one of them as my x-axis and one of them as my y-axis. And then I can plot these. So if I wanted speed, right, then I could just use the slope to get the speed because it's change in y over change in x. And I have time as my x value because that's like the denominator, right? Like we use miles per hour and hours in the denominator. So yeah, that's like, I guess, one way of looking at it. So hopefully this makes it a little more easier to understand. But yeah, like we talked about slope a couple classes ago. So this is the this is another application of slope that I thought was really useful. I think that's about it. So let's practice this and then we can do a Kahoot for fun. But these are like 5 problems. I guess the last one is 2 problems, but feel free to do it in your own time. You can message me your answers when you get them, and then you can also raise your hand if you want to explain a problem. But I'll try to let everyone do these problems, and then we can go over and explain them. So when most people are done, then we can probably start explaining. So, yeah. Oh, and another thing is, since we're dealing with rates right now, make sure you add your units. So like for the first one, we can say that the units is miles per hour, right? So if you give me an answer, I don't want to see just a number, like put units there because we're dealing with rates. Okay. Some of you guys have finished, so good job. But for those who haven't, just let me know like how much time you guys want for these problems. Okay, perfect. I'll probably give you like about 5 minutes. We'll check in at maybe like 23, 24-ish. And then yes. Okay, give me like 1 minute. I think I heard something in my basement, so I'll be back. But yeah, take this time to like check your answers if you have your answers, or just continue finishing up the problem. I'll be back in 1 minute. Sorry about this. Okay, so someone has asked to explain 5. Does anyone want to explain any of the other problems? You can just unmute your mic or like raise your hand or just text me. But I'll give it a second if anyone wants to explain any of the other problems. Um, if not, I can explain them, and that's totally fine. But yeah. Also, just to note, I think we're gonna have our final exam probably like 2 classes from now soon. Yeah, you can explain number 4. Perfect. So yeah, well, next class we'll probably do a little bit more. Um, I'll introduce maybe one more like new topic, and then we'll probably have our final exam soon. So that's that. Good luck. You guys are almost there. It won't be that stressful, and it's just to like check in on how you guys are doing. So yeah, hopefully it won't be that. I'll try not to make it super hard. Like I just want it to be like a review of everything that we've done. Okay, so with that in mind, I think I'm gonna start. I'll start explaining 1, 2, and 3, and then like everyone else who wants to explain. So, okay, for problem 1, the answer is going to be 60 miles per hour, and this is because we have 180 divided by 3, that's miles per hour, right? So then we treat it like a fraction. We divide the numerator by 3 and the denominator by 3. So 180 divided by 3 is just 60. So this is just 60 miles per 1 hour. So it's 60 miles per hour. Then for question 2, we have the grocery store sells 12 apples for $9. So what is the cost per apple? Well, again, we can kind of do this where we have $9, right? We see apples is going to be the denominator because it's the unit that comes second. So we have 9 over 12. Well, the first thing that we can see is that 9 and 12 share a common factor of 3. So then we can do 3 over 4, right? That's dollars per apple. So then 3 over 4 is just equal to 0.75. So that's $0.75 per apple, which is also equal to 75 cents. So both answers are acceptable. They both work. And then for question 3, if we have a car uses 15 gallons to travel 420 miles, what is the car's gas mileage in miles per gallon? So gallons we can see is the denominator, right? Because it comes second. So in this case, we would have miles as the numerator, so it's 420 over 15. And then 420 is divisible by 15, so we can kind of treat this as a fraction, and we get 28 miles per gallon. Okay, so whoever wants to explain question 4, do you want to go ahead and explain question 4?
Yeah. So, for question 4, I multiplied 25 minutes by 60 to get 1500, and then I divided 5000 by 1500, and I got 3.4, which was 3.4 meters per second.
Yeah, really close. It was 3.33, which is really, really close. So I think it's basically the same thing. But yeah, that was really good. Okay, Isabel, I think you want to explain question 5. So do you want to explain just both parts to it?
So since 1.5 it's a decimal, I multiplied it by 2 to get rid of it. So that got me 1080 miles in 3 hours, and then I divided it by 3 so that the denominator would be 1. So I got 360 miles per hour. And then to convert that to feet per second, I multiplied 360 by 5,280, and then I got 19,008. Then I multiplied 3,600 by uh 1 to get 3,600, and then I divided and oh wait, so there were 2 zeros at the end of 19,008, so I just removed them, so it was basically 19,008 divided by 36, which is 528 feet per second.
Okay, perfect. Those are really good explanations. So yeah, these are all the answers which we all got. MPG in here just means miles per gallon. Pretty basic. but if you guys didn't get the answer, that's okay. Feel free to check with this answer key, but most of you guys did a really good job with that. And yeah, that was like the quick practice that we did. I'm glad you guys grasped the concept very well. And now I just want to kind of take what we learned from last class and what we learned from this class and put it all in like a review. So we're doing a Kahoot because I think that's one of the better ways to review stuff. So I'll put up, sorry, give me 2 seconds. Yeah, I'll put up the Kahoot pin so you guys can either put that in there. But I'll also copy the link in the chat if you guys want to join. And then we'll just do the Kahoot. I don't think this will take more than 20 some minutes, probably like 25 minutes. So hopefully that'll just take us to the end of class. But yeah, join, and then this is reviewing both ratios, conversions, and rates, or should be at least. So hopefully this will be a good review class. Okay, so I'm waiting on 2 more people now. So if you could join, that would be great. But if not, I'll just wait like 2 more minutes. And if you can't, because of like connection issues, I think you can also join mid-game. So if you can't, that's totally okay. But yeah, I'll wait like another maybe 1 or 2 minutes in case you guys are having issues. Okay, 1 more person. Yeah. I'll wait till 32. And then I'll start the game. 1 more minute. Hopefully she joins. But if not. Okay. I think I'll start now. And if you aren't joined, that's fine. I think you can join when the game is going. So yeah, that's saying I'm just going to be there. So yeah, the problem should be an image. Yeah. Feel free to take your time because I think it's like a minute per question. So double check your work, take your time. Take your time. Okay, yeah, most of you guys did a good job. I'll just quickly, or some of you guys, like, it's okay if you didn't get it right. It's totally fine. Just make sure that we read the question very, very carefully because I know you guys know how to do this because the answers that you guys chose are very similar. But it says the ratio of apples to plums. So we take apples first, then we do plums. So apples was going to be the first number. So we have 9 to 15. And that's just 3 to 5 because we all know how to simplify. So It's okay if we do not get it, but that's just its own explanation. Okay, good job to Serene and Zainab for getting it. And everyone else, it's okay, we have like 20 questions. So you guys can catch up. I believe in you. Yeah, make sure that we see that which one's first, right? Sedans to minivans. So we first take the number of sedans, then we take to the number of minivans. Because I'm sure you guys can all simplify, because you guys seem to do a really good job with that. Okay, good job, good job. Perfect. I'm glad you guys all read very carefully. You guys did a really good job. I'll quickly explain. So we take the number of sedans, 28, to minivans, 12. We simplify because they both divisible by 4. So that's 28 divided by 4, which is 7, to 12 divided by 4, which is 3. So good job. You guys did a really good job. And yeah, that was a very good round. Keep it up. So yeah, this is taking into account equations as well. But yeah, be careful. This is also something that I think we talked about last class. So it's okay, take your time and read. Okay, good job. Again, you guys did a very, very good job for this one. Again, I'll just quickly go over it. So we have 2 bags for every 4 batches of cookies, right? So then we don't know how many bags of chocolate chip we need, but we know we have 8 batches of cookies, right? So it's 2 over 4 equals like x or some number over 8. So we can multiply 8 over, and that's just 2 over 4, which is 1/2 times 8, and 1/2 of 8 is 4. So yeah, good job. You guys are doing a really good job. Don't be pressured to answer fast, because accuracy is more important. This is comparing ratios to fractions. Be careful. Be careful. Also, remember that order matters. So, be careful with this ordering. Okay, good job. Most of you guys got it right. So, yeah, it's 5 over 8, right? So we know that 5 comes first. We know that it can be 5 to 13 because that's not 8. 25 and 44, well, they don't share any common factors, so we can eliminate that. Then I have 16 and 10. 16 to 10 is 8 to 5, so that's the wrong order. And then 15 out of 24, we can see that they're both divisible by 3, so that's just 5 to 8, and that's how we get our answer. So, good job. That was really good. Yeah, you guys are doing a very, very good job. Keep it up. So yeah, for this problem, the ratio of babies to adults is constant, right? So we want to see what this ratio is. If anyone's confused about what question is asked, you can always let me know. You guys all got it right. Good job. I'm not gonna explain this one, so you guys all got it right. So congratulations. That was very good. Keep it up. Okay, this is another kind of equation problem. But I believe in you guys. Got it. Okay, yeah, let's see. I got the right answer. It's 5 miles to 40 minutes. So 8 miles to some number of minutes. Well, we see that 40 equals 8 times 5, right? So minutes is going to be 8 times the number of miles. Because you're, I guess, running at, like 1 mile takes you 8 minutes, right? So in this case, 8 times 8 is 64. I think one trick just to note, none of you guys made this mistake, but like a very quick way to look at this is if you have multiple choice, right? If you have these 3 choices, we see that 40 is already a number in here, right? And then it says you're running at the same pace as them, but your friend is running less. So you know that it just cannot be 40. So you can just eliminate that and your answer choice is automatically between these two. I know none of you guys made that mistake, but if you're like in a time crunch and you just want to figure things out quickly, that's something you can do to check your answers. You guys are doing a very, very good job. Keep it up. Again, ratios, a lot of ratios. This is more of counting, so. Just look carefully, count carefully. It should not be super, super bad. Okay, yeah, you guys all got this one right as well, so I'm not gonna explain it. Okay, good job. You guys are doing a really good job. Keep it up. Again, good job. That was very fast. You guys also all got this right. So, good job. Very, very, very good job. Keep up the good work. You guys are doing great. Okay, this is another equivalent ratios thing, so watch out, but you're pretty right. You guys got this. Okay, yeah, most of you guys got this right. I'll just quickly explain it. So for every 1 hour he spends mowing, he earns $12, right? So then if he spends 8 hours, you just multiply that by 12 and you get 96. So good job, everyone. This is a good job. Keep it up. This one has a lot of like table problems, so just keep that in mind. Okay, good job, good job. Yeah, so basically, we can see that 20 is 4 times 5. So the amount of apples we're gonna do is just gonna be 4 times 2. Sorry, 20, yeah. So then the number of apples is gonna be 2 times 4. This case is 8. And most of you guys got that, so good job. Keep up the streak. And this is unit rates, which we just talked about. You can use a calculator for this because it's probably not that easy to calculate in your head. But if you can calculate in your head, good job. Okay, good job. You guys all got that one right. That was really good. Keep it up. Another unit rate problem. Unit rates are a very common problem that we deal with. Don't misclick because I know you guys know how to do this. Okay, good job. You guys are doing a very good job. I'm just gonna skip past that because of time. So yeah. Read this carefully. Oh, is my screen still frozen right now? Is this good? Is this okay? Okay, hopefully it's not, but if it is, just let me know. The question just asks which statement describes a unit rate. The red one is Shayla ate 1 apple. Blue is Shayna ate 3 apples and 1 orange. Yellow is Shayla ate 3 apples in 1 minute. And green is Shayna drove 15 miles. And yeah, there's no picture. So that's that. But I just repeated the answer choices. Okay, yeah, good job. This one, we know why it's a unit rate, it's the denominator as well. That's all. So, very good job, everyone. You guys are still doing very good. So we continue. A ratio problem. Read what the ratio is carefully. Yeah, this is doing great. Okay, good job. Yeah, so this is ratio of girls to boys. So you put girls first, 10 squared, it's 12 to 10. And it didn't ask to simplify, so no need to simplify. Yes, good job to everyone. You guys are doing amazing. Remember the order, it says bananas to apples. So Make sure we're reading the order very carefully. Okay, yeah, good job, good job. So it's 4 to 5, 4 bananas to 5 apples. So yeah, again, not but just the order. Ordering is very important. Good job to everyone on the leaderboard. You guys are doing great. Okay, this one I didn't really talk about, so if you don't know, it's okay. But in America, we don't use the metric system. We use things like feet, um, or miles. That's not metric. And pounds is also not metric. Inches are not metric. Feet are not metric. Things like meters are metric. No. So I think I've told you a decent amount. So hopefully you guys get this one right. But if not, that's fine. Because this wasn't something that we really learned. But this is something that you'll probably learn in school. So it's good to know. Yeah, okay. So feet, pounds are not metric. Meters, liters, grams, these are things that are used globally, like internationally in other countries. America's just kind of special. Yeah. Okay, now we're back to actual problems. Okay. This is actually I'm just gonna skip this because we didn't learn this. But like I said, you're gonna have to learn things like how to convert from like kilometers, centimeters, millimeters, decimeters, all this stuff. But we didn't talk about it, so I'll just skip over it. It's okay. No one needs to get worked about. Okay. This is your diagram to show you. 1 kilometer is 1,000 meters. So check your units as well. Okay, good job. You guys did a really good job. I think some of you guys might have just clicked a little too quickly. But yeah, check your units. It's meters, not kilometers. So 9 kilometers is 9,000 meters multiplied by 1,000. Okay, that was a major shift in the scoreboard. It's okay. You guys have one more question to catch up. Okay, so this one might be hard, but just know that 1 mile is 5,280 feet. I'll put that in here. So do the math. If you knew that already, good for you. Okay, let's keep it on. Okay, yeah, good job. So based off of that, we could probably find out that that is because it's just that many feet, 5,280 feet times 2. Okay. Job. You're almost there. Okay, 3 yards to feet. 1 yard is 3 feet. So, okay, you guys all got the right job. So that. Inches to feet. 12 inches equals 1 foot. If you guys didn't know, but I think most of you guys do know. Convert. Okay, good job. Yeah. So 64 inches to feet. Well, we know that 12 times 5 equals 60, right? So we're gonna have 4 leftover inches. So that's 5 feet 4 inches. Good job. Almost done. 2 more questions. Okay, pints to quarts. I think it's, yeah, so 1 quart equals 2 pints. Yeah.
My
So
screen is frozen.
okay, it's basically asking 16 pints equals how many quarts? And
It's
we're giving
frozen.
Oh, so you can't click on anything?
No.
Okay, give it a second. You have like 60 more seconds to do it, so I would just wait a second. Were you able to click on something? No. Hopefully. Okay, so I'll give it a second, so hopefully your screen can unfreeze if it's not unfrozen already. But yeah, so 16 pints. If 1 quart is 2 pints, then we do 16 divided by 2 to get us 8 quarts. Okay, last question. So if your screen is frozen off, it's asking 1 gallon equals how many quarts? Well, if I say how much it is, it's gonna give it away. But like, think about it this way: quarts is like quarters. Like there's how many quarters are like in a dollar, right? So like quarts to gallons is kind of similar to that. All right, good job. Yeah, 4 quarts because like the initial saying that quart is like 1/4. So okay, time to check out the very podium. You guys all did a really good job. Okay, good job, Zoe. Congratulations. And then congratulations, Zaynep. And then for the winner. Okay, good job, Serene. Okay, you guys did a very, very good job. Most of you guys got most of the questions right. Okay, Carmel and Isabel. You guys did a really good job. Okay, like most of these questions you guys got right most of the time. So, what is the thoughts? Okay, I guess we'll see what we get. Yeah, okay, so 76% of our answers are correct. That was really good. Okay. So yeah, that's about all I have. That was cool.